Hi there, welcome to another episode of BNC's special interview. I'm Mikhail Raj, your host. Today we talk to Joyce Lim. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Simply Empowering. Joyce is an accountant by profession, and she is involved in financial coaching and training for companies and individuals. Welcome to the program, Joyce.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so status Joyce, Simply Empowering offers services in business advisory and accounting to many companies. Basically, what do you actually do for these companies?
Okay, a lot of times people do accounts for account's sake, meaning that they do for tax filing or for some SSM filing, things like that. But what I do is I look beyond that in a way that we look at the numbers, yes, but I tell the story behind it. So we tell the story, like for example, I got a client whose sales is up, but their bank account is not really up. So we look further into it and see why is that, how does it happen? So we found out that he does do his billing, but a little bit slacking on the collection part. So that's why the cash flow is not, what they expect and things like that. So another part is also like, for example, he sometimes can even forget to bill his clients. So this is where we come in and see, okay, these are the areas that you need to improve on. Okay, so this is the advisory part that we are talking about. Okay,
what type of companies do you deal with? Are they new companies, established ones, or are they financially troubled companies? Or are there any specific sectors you focus on?
I focus on actually any industry will do, because the industry is not the issue. New one, established one, I also have. We actually provide service to them. Okay, the issue probably I would say is from the point that they don't see that it is actually important to have the accounts, because they only see it like it's only for filing purposes. Okay, so I do, like I said, I do beyond that, and I go deeper and see where else they can improve based on their vision for their company.
So it's not basically for you to go in and say cut costs, cut costs, cut costs. That's not your role there.
One of the things when they are in financial difficulty, probably the main thought is that how can I cut my costs? But I go in there, yes, we look at the areas that they can cut costs. However, we also must look at what is important enough for them to keep. For example, one of the areas that they always want to cut is training. But training is one of the areas where during not so good time, they should look into how to build the individual skills so that they can perform better. And the other part also, like the morale of the staff, you see. So when they can perform better if they are happier in the company. They are motivated and things like that. And this one, I work with another expert on this area.
But sometimes the management will have no choice but to cut costs, And one of the first things they do is advertising expenditure, training expenditure, and public relations and communication. These are the things that they first cut. You see. So how do you manage to persuade the management to undertake training at the times when they want to cut training because of cutting down costs?
Well, we have that challenge also, where, like you said, people are looking at why am I spending on advertising, why am I spending on training, when that funds can be used for other, the so-called more important stuff for them. But when we explain to them, by taking care of your staff, the staff are the more important one. Okay, if they do provide good service for your client, that's when you can actually retain and probably get new clients. So by explaining the reason behind why they should spend on this, it's more worthwhile than them spending on something else. They can see where we are coming from, and we get a buy-in from them. Okay. On the advertising part, you see, nowadays it's no longer about printed advertising. It's online advertising. So this is where we also get in another expert to actually say, okay, your advertising budget is much more useful in this way, meaning that online marketing, social media marketing, the same amount of funds that you have can reach out to more people. See, so you are cutting to a certain extent, but it still can do what you need to do your marketing.
So that brings the question, what type of companies do you deal with? How long was the company set up? And since that time, what are the types of companies that you've dealt with?
Okay. Simply Empowering was established in 2009.
Okay.
Most of our companies are in the service industry,
Such
ranging
as?
from website development. We have clients who provide chess classes for school children. Okay. We have chocolatiers. We have a company that from doing branding and marketing and telemarketing into going into tourism, where they actually got a license to operate as a tour and travel company. Okay, so that's one. And we have training companies. And what else do we have? Some manufacturing, but not many.
But do you deal with, sounds like as if you're dealing mostly with the smaller companies and medium-scale companies and not the big boys. Is that true?
I would say when we provide outsourced accounting, and I will say for myself, my company's vision is actually to provide services, make it affordable for the smaller companies. See, a lot of times they feel that, business advisory is a very big thing and it costs a lot of money and we can't afford it or it's not needed in a smaller company. But we would like to reach out to these people and say, hey, look, you can do much more and you can actually reach higher, with our support in different areas, you see. So, yes, I deal more with the smaller companies. And in outsourced accounting, that's one of our better way to support.
Usually when you get the contract, how long is your tenure with the company? 3 months, 6 months, or?
If it's on the regular basis one, is so far I hardly have any companies that actually terminated our services. Okay, so it will be ongoing until they let us know. And I have our company actually provide ad hoc services, meaning that there's a backlog. Okay, company hasn't been filing their company statements for past 2-3 years, so they just need someone to actually bring it up to date. So we come in, we bring it up to date, and then some of them they continue on with their current people, and things like that. Some they actually come back to us and say, hey, can you do our current year one also?
That puzzles me. Why do you have repeat customers? Because when you go in the first time and you tell them this is what you're doing wrong, you do it right, you see. So if they're doing it right, why are they coming back to you?
Because the future is so different every time. Things change a lot. So our advisory part is actually much needed then, because what we do is we provide a glimpse of the future, meaning that, okay, you are on this path. Okay, what is the likely things that you need? What are the resources in terms of the manpower, in terms of funds? Okay, and we are there like guiding them along the way, as they progress, we have a checkpoint. Are they going on track? If they are off track, what are the resources that you can, or what are the ideas or solutions that we can provide so that you go back on track? Okay, this is all aligned to the business owner's goals and vision. So one of the main things that we do in advisory is to determine what the owners or the shareholders want from the business first. Then only we do that.
Can you give examples of how companies will go off track, and how do you come in to provide solutions for that, whatever off track they are doing,
Okay, I have a company that does projects where they provide loyalty cards to corporates. Okay. They went on to do marketing, and there's a lot of inquiries and things like that. So they actually started off with telemarketing, and with the Data Protection Act, it's not easy to call people, strangers and things like that. So we foresee that, and we look at it. We need to change the business a bit. So instead of going to individual, they go to corporate. And when they approach a corporate, there are a lot of corporates that they can approach, and of course they get their quotation done and things like that. They went off track in the sense that to run the company, you need a certain amount of funds. Agree?
Yeah.
Right? So they are expecting the projects to provide them with that, but it didn't actually occur. Okay? So then we need to revisit that plan and see, based on their current resources, what they can do. So they went on to gave this solution that why not you go deeper into your own database, because they have a loyalty card program. So they have a lot of database which already know them. So they started promoting other things to them other than the loyalty card, like there are certain products, let's say something that they need. Okay, So they started what you call data mining.
Okay.
You call back the same people and provide what they need. You see, so that's when they can also gain back their funds while they work on different projects.
Okay. To go deeper into your operations, could you tell us about your business consultancy services that focuses on business cash flow and budgeting for business growth of companies? What exactly do you mean by all this?
You see, when we start with a company or when we are providing advisory for a company, we first determine what the business owner wants, their direction, meaning that how much is their revenue they want to achieve and things like that. So with that, you need to have a plan. So we come in to do the budgeting part, okay? What resources you need, like I said, how much funds you need to run that operation while you move on to this direction, let's say, okay? And then manpower, how many people you need to run this show, okay? Then we put in what is the expected cost. We bring in, okay, you're going to employ this person at what price, at what salary, and then plus everything, then we say, okay, you need this much of funds for this period, and where is it going to come from, which project or which revenue stream that they can actually target on and things like that, and of course how much marketing budget they can spend on, how much training budget they can spend on and things like that. So that is the budgeting part. The cash flow, frankly, that is the lifeblood of the company, and the accounts is also a lifeblood of the company. That's where we can see, okay, because sometimes certain things are seasonal, certain parts you need more cash and things like that, especially with the GST. There's if it's a quarterly reporting, you need to pay on the fourth month after that. If you don't plan ahead and have the funds ready, means at the fourth month, on top of your normal running expenses, you need to have another bulk of funds. Okay. So if you don't plan ahead with the cash flow planning, that's where you get caught short.
Okay. Anyway, Joyce, we have much more to discuss, but hold your thoughts. We'll take a short break and we'll be back after these messages.
Legitimate and packed with information. First on site with reports from across the country and around the world. Be in the know through Bernama News Bulletins. Only on Bernama News Channel.
Welcome back. Joyce, has the goods and services tax changed the way businesses handle their accounts?
Definitely, because GST is something which is helpful for the government, right? But for the business part, we need to what we call cost it in, meaning that when you provide your services and or your product price or whatever you're selling, you need to put it in as part of your cost. All right, and GST has also enabled business owners to be actually more up to date in their things because there's a regular filing period. So you need to be more alert to what is happening in your business so that you can file on time.
Yeah. Have many companies come to you because of GST for the past 2 to 3 years to advise them on what this new tax accounting system is?
My current companies, they actually come back to me on the costing part. It's like, I have this price. I will need to increase my price. How much more can I increase? And what is the impact on my business and things like that? So we do that part of the costing and plan ahead, because of this. Or if they decided not to change the price, how much more they need to do to meet their target. Okay,
but I can't help telling you that the idea I get from whatever you said is that you seem to be doing the thinking for these companies, despite the thinking for these companies, despite they having their own accounting, auditing and management systems and all that. So basically, my question is, Do you help these companies to prepare for the difficult times? To also guide them, the companies to move to another direction of business because of some financial difficulties and things like that. You know, maybe through business proposals or business loan applications, things like that. You know?
We do help or support them in their business proposals, because that also involve planning ahead the resources, the pricing, and stuff like that. In terms of the loans, yes, we also do, because most of the time when you put in a loan application, they require the business plan also to be included in there. That's what we do. Okay, but we try our best to see whether there's other alternative solutions to that. For example, getting a new investor in. Okay, that's what happened to one of my company. He's a sole proprietor. And when we look into it and say, hey, you need to grow your business, but there's a little bit lacking on the funds. If he's to accumulate the funds himself, he will need a longer time. So with our network of the people that we know, we connect the people.
Oh, you also play a part in helping to get the new investor into the company.
New investor in. If let's say there are interested parties and there's investable companies, then we meet them, get them to meet together, and then if they are okay with it, then we go on that. So in one of the case that I mentioned, we actually managed to bring in an investor, and the value of the company actually went up to about 5 million. Because we managed to bring in an investor in, at that price. Then if you value the company accordingly, it's about 5 million already.
So these are really business advisory solutions.
Yeah.
Okay. Joyce, other companies, because of their financial situation, which are forced to transform their existing business or completely diversify and move to a totally different sector.
I have only so far encountered one where, like I mentioned, actually it's the scenario I mentioned before. They were in telemarketing. They moved into corporate branding and through lifestyle card and things like that. Strangely enough, or maybe not, because the owner's passion is in travel, and they are good in branding, they are good in marketing. So they managed to actually set up a company in travel and tour, where they are good in branding themselves as the tour company to come in, where they can bring in tourists from India to visit Malaysia.
Okay, where did you come in? Where did you come in?
We come in when they started on this part, whether they can venture into this. Do they have funds enough for this part? So we will tell them, okay, you want to have this kind of operation. This is the likely funds that you need. Okay, what are the skills that you need to have in terms of the people? Because none of them has done ticketing before, so we need to recruit people in that area, connect people who are familiar in the tour and travel industry to them, so that they can move into that that area, which is, you can say, is totally different from telemarketing, you see. So travel and tour is totally different industry. So we help them in that, we connect resources to them.
But then in terms of funding and resources, do you also advise them to take certain business loans for a certain aspect of their operations?
Actually, on our side, business loan is one of the least thing that we will try to advise. In terms of the growth, we plan for them in a way like, okay, you are going on a steady growth. You need to actually conserve your funds. So whatever extra funds that they have, actually, we tell them you put aside for future growth. So there is a practice where instead of them spending on expanding their company or spending on expenses or even the owner's salary, like certain sole proprietor or business owner, they treat their company as though it's their own ATM. They take whatever they want from there. But we guide them in the sense that you want to expand your business, you definitely need funds. So instead of spending on your other things, why not we put aside these funds? So we recommend them they put into FD at least. So we have this regular thing, okay, reach a certain threshold, put this amount into the FD and things like that. So that's part we actually do.
Talking about companies trying to change the way they do things, how important is it for companies in this current age to embrace digitalization, so as to stay relevant and to keep up with the changing business environment?
Well, the online platform, the digital thing is something that we need to embrace, because it's where the customers are nowadays. right? So we actually encourage our customers to. We have a company that is expert in digital marketing, all right? So we can see that it is the way to go in terms of marketing, in terms of connecting with people and things like that. So we recommend those who are not yet, connected to actually look into this area, and so we connect them. So we definitely need to embrace it because that's the future.
But there's also one issue I'd like to bring out, is that when you're dealing with companies and they follow whatever you tell them is good, but there are some companies which resort to unhealthy practices, a lot of CBT is involved, and abuse and misuse of the funds. So how do you reconcile with the way that you want to tell them to change and turn over, and management of these companies who are adamant and do things which are not right? I'm not using the word corruption, but it's one of those things there, you see.
I guess on our part, the best we can do is we can provide them advice. And of course, there are certain practices that we do and certain trainings that we do that create that awareness that, how best to actually live your life in a way. All these, not good practices actually affects your own happiness, health and wealth. So if they are subscribed to that, then I'm sure they will change. If not, then we normally will exit that company.
Joyce, from your experience in dealing with companies, what are the biggest obstacle that your company faced or you faced in terms of turning around a company that was in dire straits financially?
I think you mentioned just now people who don't want to change.
So
they're just very adamant to follow their own way. Then whatever you tell them, it will not really happen. So what we do is we bring in an expert to actually come in and help them to see the bigger picture first. If we see that they are willing to change, this is where I work with Vasala from Globetrotter Consultancy. They come in, not only the owners, but the employees themselves. Also involved in that, because you change the main person but the bottom doesn't follow, it's not going to work.
You also conduct training and workshop. Are these only for companies? Are they also for individuals?
It's both for companies and individuals. For business owners, basically we talk about more on personal tax because that's one of the major areas they are concerned about. And of course business processes and things like that we do also talk about. The other thing that we do is we also bring in the people, like I said, the people to become, in a way, one with the company. They have the same vision, the same mindset. So the training, the awareness training actually helps a lot to bring people together so that they focus on one goal. The company is headed this direction, everybody is headed this direction and not somebody going, know.
So before you bring them together, what are some of the liabilities and weaknesses you detect in these employees?
Probably they are not, sometimes it's skill, sometimes it's motivation. So, and sometimes it's because they are not aware that their actions actually affect the company. What they do or what they don't do actually affects the company a lot. Even their thoughts. A company that is not doing well and the whole company is thinking my company is not doing well will actually bring the whole company down.
But then also there are companies which are not doing well because of the economic conditions, like during the financial crisis, subprime crisis and all that. Like for example, the downturn in the oil and gas sector and also the retail sector, I think they are going through quite a downturn now. So how do you advise them? And how do you reconcile between cutting costs and actually raising your marketing expenditures?
Cutting costs is something which is one of the recommended solution when during economic crisis and things like that. However, with that budget that we have, we look into how best to use it. Like you said, the marketing part is necessary, but what are the channels that is more efficient? Now is the digital age. So invest in digital, digitalization, automation, instead of doing things manually now. A lot of people nowadays are not making calls. They are actually using WhatsApp, using the Wi-Fi, and it's free.
Is that not right, or is that
it's
wrong?
Right.
It's right. Okay.
It can reduce your cost by a lot. You're not making calls, you're not having additional
But that's not being personal, right?
No, it's not being personal.
Because when you want to deal with consumers and customers, sometimes the personal touch actually goes a long way rather than sending a non-personal WhatsApp and all that.
Yeah, I agree on that part.
Okay.
So it depends on the industry.
Okay.
So when it's needed, you need to spend on that. So we help them to see which is the more important thing to spend on. Okay. Even the human part, the resources part. Do you need this person? Can this person be deployed to some other department? And enhance that department instead.
Joyce, briefly, what is your advice to those starting a company or a business? What are the pitfalls they should look out for?
Okay, of course, the first thing is get your accounts right. Okay, with that, there's a lot of things you know about your company. Okay, like I said, we tell the story behind it. In terms of the pitfalls and how to start and things like that, I can share my story if it's okay with you.
Briefly.
Briefly, yes. I started off in accounting, which is something which I'm good at.
Okay.
All right. With the help of my mentor and now my business partner, Ilango Tiago, I actually focus more on earning, because at that time I was having some financial difficulties, personal financial difficulties. I got my housing loan, I got my personal loan, I got my credit card loans and things like that. So when you're in that state of mind, most of the time you'll be focused on your loan. But he helped me to look into you need to get out from the situation. The only way is actually focus on how you can earn more. And what am I good at the time was accounts, so I started on that. And the pitfall is that I undercharge people. That's one. So he helped me to gain the confidence to actually, that your services is worth much more. Things like that. So that you need to look into that. And thirdly, you need to look into the environment. Because when you are in a very conducive environment where people are focused on, okay, I want to go ahead, and not talking about, how bad things are, you are more prone to move ahead than going back. You see, so that part of that, and environment, spending wisely, spend where is needed.
Okay. Joyce Lim, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
This has been BNC's special interview. Until the next time, have a good and productive day.